Hello and welcome to the Called and Capable podcast, conversations with leaders living their calling. I'm your host, Sarah Sillers, and this is where purpose fuels leadership. We'll dig into questions like what's my calling and how do I lead through it with guests who have been there. Let's step into their stories together and find clarity and strength. Hey there, Sarah here. I'm honored that you're tuning in with us today. If you haven't already, be sure to check out last week's episode. We had Stacia Lowe, an author who inspires families by hope. She's an accountant by trade, but she also teaches budgeting and knitting to a homeschool co-op. So that's really neat. Go and check out last week's episode if you missed it. And then if you're wondering how to go deeper, you may be asking yourself, what's next? So by using my called and capable formula, you can go from being stuck to living your calling. And I'm offering a free masterclass. Next week, it's going to be Thursday, April 24th at 4:30 Eastern. You can go to calledandcapablemasterclass.com to go ahead and reserve your spot today because you don't want to miss this. So before I introduce today's guest, let's go ahead and see what God has to say about living our calling. In 2 Timothy, he says, "He has saved us and called us with the holy calling, not because of our works, but because of his own purpose and grace, which is given to us in Christ Jesus before the ages." Now, our guest today empowers family to achieve financial security, guiding individuals in aligning their financial goals with their life purpose. He has a tailored approach to planning for retirement and will meet you where you are to address your specific goals. So please welcome Ken Sillers.
Hi,
Yay!
everyone.
Oh, welcome, Ken. I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's such an amazing thing to see what you're doing with your podcast. I think it's fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
let's go ahead and dive on in. Can you tell us a little bit about your strengths, kind of when you first discovered it and how you use it?
Yeah, I think my strength is really the ability to connect with people. And I kind of discovered that just naturally in high school when I was the guy that everybody always came to get advice when they were going through, those teenage problems that are so prevalent in high school. And then same thing in my military career, 27 years in the Canadian Armed Forces. I would always be the guy that the troops would feel comfortable coming to, again, with their personal problems. And sometimes these problems were quite severe. So I just seem to have a natural ability to connect with people and just be able to guide them.
Wow, that's really great. So it sounds like you're a natural born leader.
I leadership is something that I think really I developed it more so in the military where I learned how to lead. Um, but a certain natural presence is definitely required.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's
Mhm.
great. So with your team, how do you see their strengths and how are you able to bring it out in the workplace?
Well, the one of the things that make a team so strong is the fact that it's a very diverse team. We come from many different backgrounds, many different languages that are spoken within my team, and I think that's part of the reason why it's been so successful in Canada because we're a very multinational country. And so we've been able to touch communities that have been, traditionally very underrepresented in the financial community, and that's been a wonderful thing. So, the Latin community here in Canada is still growing. I know in the United States it's very big, but in Canada it's just a budding community. And traditionally, they've been very underrepresented in the financial community here in Canada. And so the ability to speak fluent Spanish has been a way that I've been able to, penetrate into that market and start getting lots of Latino clients.
Oh, that's wonderful. I didn't know you spoke Spanish.
Yes, I speak five languages.
Oh, wow. Look at you. Wow, you're just a man of all sorts of talents, aren't you, Ken? You had mentioned that your business is in Canada. Do you do business in the US as well?
It's so we just got clearance to start doing business in the United States. And so it is a market that I'm definitely looking to come into. I still have to get licenses for the United States. I don't hold any licenses in the US at the moment.
Okay.
So right now my business is still strictly Canada, but I'm in the process of getting my Michigan license where, as you know, we have family.
Yes, we do.
So that's, yeah, so that's where I'll be starting.
Okay. All right, good to know. So, for our listeners, if you're interested in Ken's services, he will be coming to the US soon. And if you're interested, we'll go ahead and plug that in at the end. But since we're on the topic, can you tell us a little bit about what you do specifically and how you help families?
So the biggest piece that I do is financial education, more so than anything else. As we've discussed in previous conversations that we had, financial education isn't something that's really taught in schools. And learning how to do finance by trial and error is a very expensive way to learn how to do finance. Um, and we find a lot of young people, especially, are being subjected to incredible pressures to spend. And as a result, I see a tremendous amount of debt load here, personal debt load here in Canada. Debt consolidation is one of those services that I do offer, and I've been finding a big spike in that, especially recently. So we try to get the financial education out there so that it averts that at this from the start, right? So that people learn how to budget responsibly, live below their means, save, establish an emergency fund, right? Make sure their income is protected. And these are the things that we really try to teach families.
Oh, and that's huge because unfortunately, as you mentioned, that's not taught in schools and that's not necessarily taught from generation to generation. So you have these kids going out on their own at 18, whether it's college or just working, and they don't know how to manage their money, yet alone plan for the future. And everybody needs to plan for the future. And it sounds like you're kind of hitting all sides of that. Am I right in hearing
Mhm.
that?
Absolutely. It's funny. I don't know if it works the same way in the US as it does in Canada, but as soon as you go to university here in Canada, one of the first things they do is hand you a student visa or a student MasterCard. You're almost automatically approved. And there's no education to go along with it to show you how to manage a credit card. So we see so many students already having student loan debt, and then they're adding credit card debt on top of it because they don't know how to manage a credit card.
You know what? You nailed it on its head yet again. That does happen here too. Is as soon as you turn 18, you start getting credit card advertisements in the mail or, advertisements for a loan to buy a car and whatnot. And it just
Mhm.
automatically starts things off on the wrong foot.
Yeah. So like right now, the average Canadian is carrying about 28,000 dollars worth of consumer debt, you know, um, and that's so much. So we're talking non-mortgage debt, just consumer loans and credit cards. And that's a
Wow, that's
massive amount.
staggering.
Yeah, it's really, really bad.
Oh my.
So our debt to income ratio here in Canada is about 181%. So for every dollar a Canadian's earning, they're spending a dollar 80.
Oh my. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty staggering. I don't know what the stats are here, but just hearing that, I'm sure I'm sure we're in that ballpark as well.
Yeah, so I mean the need is huge for financial education, right? And so before I, get my clients to, look at investments, I always educate them first.
Oh, that's great. That's absolutely great.
Mhm.
Hey, so how do you integrate your Christian faith into making professional decisions? Because I know you have a team with you and you obviously have your own business. So how do you let that flow?
It's really a two-pronged approach. One, I'm huge on integrity. Because there's absolutely no right way to do the wrong thing, and as a Christian, that shouldn't even enter our minds. We put the family's needs before our own. We never go out and chase commissions. Um, so if a family's already got a solid plan in place, I congratulate them. I tell them, fantastic, you guys are on the right track. You don't need my services. I don't go chasing commissions. I don't really do this for the money. I do it for the personal satisfaction of helping families, right? And as a Christian, I lead my team. We do pray together as a team. The majority of my team are Christians, and so we all share that value where we espouse that there is no right way to do the wrong thing. We're always transparent, and we always put our client first.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. That is so true. God will bless your business if you do things the right way. And I think first and foremost, you have to start doing the things that glorify him and by doing it the right way and have integrity is a very large key component to that. Having faith in him and having integrity.
I agree
Absolutely.
100%. And then the other piece, the that you had mentioned, the leadership piece, um, for me, it's all about leading by example. So I would never ask one of my teammates to do something that I wouldn't do first, and that I always try to be at the front of the pack when it comes to getting appointments and prospecting and all the things that we do. But then I also do a lot of training with my team, on what would be the appropriate things to say and discuss when you're meeting a family for the first time. And really it's all about establishing that relationship and really making a friend, more than a client. So I'm the type of person that, when my clients are having issues, I take it personally and I lose sleep, right? Because I care about my clients. They're
Sure.
not just a number to me. And so I try to instill that in my team as well.
Oh, that's wonderful and definitely needed to lead strong. And being a leader, it's leading by example. It's not just, being that boss and tyrant saying, "No, you're going to do it this way." It's actually walking the walk and not just talking about it.
Exactly. So being at the front, I mean, it's how we lead in the military. Not that I run my team like a platoon. I certainly don't. My team has a huge amount of autonomy in the decisions that they make. But we just established some arcs that they operate within, and of course, part of that is making sure I stay within those arcs myself. So.
Absolutely. No, that makes perfect sense.
Mhm.
All right. So what's one way that you've seen God use your work to impact others beyond what you even expected?
I'll tell a little story about a family that I sat down with. It was, a kitchen table conversation. Um, they had good income. They did carry a fair amount of debt load, but they had some very interesting needs because they had, children who had some disabilities, and there were programs available, and investment savings plans available that they didn't even know existed, that were specifically tailored for children with disabilities. So once I had the opportunity to just discuss that with them, we were just chatting socially afterwards, and they said, Kenny, I wish I'd met you 20 years ago, because the one thing that you brought us today, more so than the education, was you brought us hope that our kids can have a brighter future. And that was so touching to me. I really felt God's presence in that moment. Like, you're on the right track, you're doing what you're meant to do. Because when I left the military, I oh, great time for a phone call.
Mr.
When I
Popular.
left, yeah, when I left the military, I honestly felt like for a moment I had lost my sense of purpose. I'd done the military for so long that when I left, when I retired, all of a sudden I was clueless as what it was that I was supposed to do. And I genuinely felt lost, Sarah. So, and it wasn't until I was introduced to this business that, I was making genuine connections with people again. And all of a sudden I felt like I'd found my place, and so it was such a beautiful moment where, yes, I educated a family. Yes, I was able to, set them up financially. But the biggest thing was I gave them hope, you know.
That's huge. And, that was the topic of last week as well. And we all need hope. We all need to learn from each other and hear everybody else's stories to realize that we're not in this alone, to realize that God has a bigger plan and we can lean on Him, but we can also lean on each other. And hearing those stories, hearing each other's testimonies really does provide that for us so we can be uplifted and go, "Oh my gosh, I can get through this. I will God will see me through and I'll come out the other side of this."
That is so true. And that was, one of those things when you and I, when we met up in Nashville, last year, it was so cool to listen how our lives had kind of taken a parallel turn, and you realize, hey, it's great to see someone in my family doing this,
Yeah.
right? And I don't know if you know, but you've been an inspiration to me as well,
Thank
with
you.
sharing your stories. So it's fantastic, and I love that I get to just talk to families. And the motto of our team is no family left behind. So that's, yeah, and I really try to take that to heart.
That's a beautiful motto. It's something that you're able to capitalize on in more ways than one, and it really lets your team know that you can serve your clients in more than just one way. So I think that's
Exactly.
absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I love it. We're having this awesome heart to heart while talking about our business, and it's all because of God. It's really neat. I did enjoy our conversation in Nashville. I am also a licensed agent as well, so we are able to nerd out on that, and so obviously the family aspect helps, but God is really the center, and that's what's rooted in this conversation. I think that's what's really blossoming it.
100%. And the whole coming to God thing was a process that, when I first came to the United States, when I first started living with the Sillers, I had no idea about God. It was just completely foreign to me. And it was actually through my neighbor that I came to know Jesus. And you know, he had such an impact in my life, and we're still in contact to this day, and it's been through him that, he's a pastor, youth pastor, and now he does hospice ministry. And it's just, he's a very, very, great man, a loving man, a man of God, and I have so much respect for him. And if it wasn't, for coming to live with the Sillers family, I don't know if I ever would have gotten to have that relationship with God. So um just that little segue there, but he's part of the reason why I am the man that I am today.
Absolutely. Just how you said that was so beautiful because God knocks on our hearts and inspires us to do something. And if we don't take action, we're going to not be able to
Mm,
influence all the people that we're supposed to be. And if we won't let him use us, he'll go on to somebody else and we may never get that knock again. If we're
yep.
fortunate enough years down the line when we're in a position that we can, maybe he'll use us for that same thing or something else, but we really have to be open to that knock on our hearts and to
Oh,
let
for
the Holy Spirit
sure.
lead us.
God gives us all, unique talents and abilities that we can use to further God's kingdom. And, to have those talents and abilities and not use them is a travesty. It really is. So, when God gives you a special talent, it's for his glory. So, the fact that I can connect with people and I have an ability to talk to people, and I'm not shy at all, is has been such a blessing. But it's for his glory, and the blessings that have come as a result are just, because I try to do my level best to stay on the path that I believe God has chosen for me.
Absolutely. Oh, I love this. All right. Our last question today is if you could go back and tell your younger self one thing about pursuing your calling, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a great question. Because I knew from the time that I was little that I wanted to serve in uniform. So I'm one of those people that's been blessed to do their dream job. But being in the military has a shelf life. It's not something that, once you're in your 40s and 50s, that it's a sustainable career. It's very hard on your body. So, you know, my message to my younger self is never give up, never stop praying, never stop seeking God's face, and always give your level best, right? And you'll never fail.
Wow. Those are beautiful words, and you have given us so much wisdom and so much things to think about. So thank you so much. And also I've had a lot of fun with you today. So this has
Yeah,
been great.
it's so great to see you, Sarah. I wish I could get down to Tennessee more often to see you and the rest of the family there. But I'm gonna have to make that a priority on my list.
Yes, we'll do it. And I'll have to go up north to maybe we can meet in Michigan. And
Oh, that would be wonderful.
I haven't seen Uncle Jim in a little while, so that'd be
Well, he'd
good.
be so happy to see you.
Yeah. Well, hey, can you tell our listeners where they can either find you, follow you? That way they can learn a little bit more about your services.
Well, absolutely. I do. If you Google my name, Kenneth Sillers, it'll come up with a World Financial Group website. We'll have my agent listing, which will also highlight the services that I provide. So I am associated with World Financial Group. Um, And of course, you're more than welcome to call me directly. I have absolutely no problem sharing my phone number. So it's area code 416-678-6166.
Wonderful. And I will also plug this information into the description. So, listeners, if you would like to go ahead and look up Ken, I will put his phone number and also his website so it's easier for you to contact him and take a look at his services. Again, he really specializes in insurance with IULs and annuities for those investments, getting that return, estate planning, and debt consolidation. He really does everything from start to finish to help your financial needs. All right,
Awesome.
great. Thank you so much, Ken. Gosh, you've shared so much wisdom with us, and I've just had such a wonderful time with you.
It was really a blessing again seeing you, Sarah. So thank you so much for the invitation. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for tuning in with us today. We hope that you've had some great takeaways from Ken and myself. And if you liked our show, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. Next week, we'll have a guest, and she's actually a real estate professional here in East Tennessee, where I'm at, and she specializes in helping first-time home buyers and families relocate to the area. And it sounds like she knows a little something about trusting God in the unknown, and she also serves God through her business. So be sure and tune in. And then if you're wanting to go deeper and you might be asking what's next, using my formula, you can go from being stuck to living your calling. And I'm offering a free masterclass on Thursday, April 24th at 4:30 Eastern. Go to calledandcapablemasterclass.com to reserve your spot today. But I will see you next week. Thank you so much. That's a wrap for this episode of the Called and Capable podcast. Thanks for joining us. If today's interview sparks something, whether it's clarity on your path or motivating you to succeed, don't stop here. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen, and catch the video version on YouTube or Rumble. Be sure to grab your free capability audit checklist at calledandcapablepodcast.com/audit. Until next time, keep chasing what you're called to do because you are capable. See you soon.